Hey guys, it's Kate, and for my first video of 2021, I will be sharing some books that I will be reading this year, as well as books that I'm currently reading. I'm going to be sharing my thoughts, as well as obviously reading the backs of the books that I have not read, and just kind of talking about how I'm going to be adding to my library and just my general knowledge this year. So if you are someone that used to love reading and could get through an entire series in a week in like 7th or 8th grade, like myself, and now barely reads unless they like absolutely have to, then hopefully this video will inspire you to get back into reading, which is what I'm trying to do, and just give you some new ideas for books to pick up. I also just wanted to say that most of these books I did purchase from Target or Amazon. Yeah, you can literally find like any book on Amazon, so. But of course, I can link these books down below if you guys would like to pick any of them up. So if you'd like to see what books I will be reading in 2021, then let's just get into it. So if you are kind of an older single person like me, I'm literally going to be 22 in April. I'm not even old, but you know what I mean. When you're like not in a relationship at 18, everyone just assumes that you're like old and you need help. You've probably been suggested most of these books, but I'm just going to give you guys some good dating, marriage, that type of stuff books that I picked up because of people's suggestions or because of good reviews or whatever. So starting off, I picked up this book, Relationship Goals by Michael Todd. He is a pastor. I actually don't know what church he pastors, and it does not say. Maybe like Transformation Church? I have no idea. Anyways, this book is How to Win at Dating, Marriage, and Sex. Cool. So that's fun. You scroll through photo after photo of happy couples and think, I want a relationship like that. The thing is, those intimate relationships are a mirage. The closer you get to them, the more you realize they aren't real at all. So what does a real relationship look like, and how do you get there? Learn how to win at relationships. So a friend of mine actually suggested that I read this book. She said that it seems very corny when you just look at the cover or read the back, but she said it's actually a very good book. So I'm excited to read it. And I will say that I have seen a few of Pastor Mike Todd's messages on YouTube or even little clips on TikTok and Instagram, and I do think that he's a great preacher, so I feel like this book will be really good. I know it might sound a little corny based on the description, but I have a good feeling about it and I'm excited to actually read it. The next book was actually suggested by that same friend, and this one is a little more of like a journaling devotional book, but I do enjoy a good journaling style book. This one is 31 Prayers for My Future Husband. The subtitle is Preparing My Heart for Marriage by Praying for Him, and it's written by Jennifer and Aaron Smith. This one is about praying for his heart. The anticipation to one day get married is a beautiful experience that should not be rushed. In your waiting, purpose to pray for your husband and what he is enduring through right now that will contribute to your future marriage. This resource takes you on a journey of learning how to pray for his heart as you pray through 31 specific prayers for him. It focuses on preparation, inspiration, and revelation. So I also have high hopes about this book. I also think it's cool that it's 31 prayers because Proverbs 31, it's like a big thing that women try to, aspire to be. So I feel like the 31 was very intentional in that way. I also picked up Single, Dating, Engaged, Married by Ben Stewart. This was suggested to me by a friend of mine on Instagram. I put a post out just asking for book suggestions, and this was one of them. This one talks about navigating the 4 critical seasons of a relationship. The vast majority of young people will pass through the key stages of singleness, dating, engagement, and marriage at some point in life. Yet they are delaying marriage longer than any generation in human history. Studies show a dramatic rise in self-reported loneliness among the young. All of our technological connectivity has not made us feel more connected. In many ways, the very screens that are meant to link us to others have become shields blocking us from the deep intimacy we crave. We need the skill set to know how to journey through life and how to select the right people to journey alongside. This book will help you chart a course through the 4 relational stages. In each, we will look at what eternal purposes should be pursued. As we embrace God's purposes for every stage, we can enjoy the confidence of knowing that we are leveraging our lives for what matters most. Haven't started this one either, but it does also look like a good book. I don't know what it is about it, but I love the way that it looks. Like, I don't know. I'm like a big like aesthetic person, and I really enjoy this font, and I also really enjoy these little subtitles. I don't know. I like the way it looks. I go for aesthetic a lot of times with books, and I'm a little stingy with who I lend my books to because I like my books to look brand new. So the next book is Boy Meets Girl by Joshua Harris. The subtitle is Say Hello to Courtship, which I feel like, okay, after watching like the Duggars or like the Bates or something, courtship is kind of like a trigger word that we laugh at because we think of like the awkward scene where Ben is like standing there and he's like, so Jess, I've been thinking, praying, I was just wondering if you'd like to court me, and it's like really uncomfortable to watch. If you grew up watching 19 Kids and Counting, you know exactly what I'm talking about, but that was very uncomfortable. And so I feel like when we hear the word courtship, we immediately think of like, oh, the Duggars, and like, it's weird. But courtship is just another way of saying dating with a purpose. When my sister's husband asked her to be his girlfriend, he actually asked my dad first if he could ask my sister to be in a courtship with him. So I feel like that is kind of a word that we have made weird, but it's just another way of saying dating with a purpose. And I believe my mom bought me this book. So the back says, are you ready for romance with purpose? If you're fed up with self-centered relationships that end in disillusionment, it's time to rethink romance. Finding the loving, committed relationship you want shouldn't mean throwing away your hopes, your integrity, or your heart. And there's a little bit more, but I'm not gonna read like the entire back of every book, but basically this is just another book that kind of goes into dating with a purpose. So I feel like a lot of these are similar, but I'm still going to read all of them if I can, just because I'm single, I have nothing better to do, honestly. This book isn't really a dating book, but it does kind of deal with having to wait and kind of being in that waiting season. So this book is called Wait and See, and the subtitle is Finding Peace in God's Pauses and Plans, and this one is by Wendy Pope. And the back says, when waiting on God's stretches for months or years, we might begin to doubt his promises. Did I hear you correctly, God? Do you see what I'm going through? Why does this have to be so hard? In Wait and See, Wendy Pope draws on the life of King David to help us focus on the person of our faith rather than the object of our wait, prepare for the future by participating in God's work in the present, view God's pauses as opportunities to know him better, gain confidence in God's plans even during uncertain times, and step out of the security of the known to find peace in the unknown. So this one sounds like a really good read. I also really enjoy the aesthetic of this one as well. Yeah, I'm annoying, but that kind of stuff really gets me. This next book is called True Feelings, God's Gracious and Glorious Purpose for Our Emotions. And this book was written by Carolyn Mahaney and Nicole Whitaker, which reminds me of Adventures in Odyssey. I don't know if we have any Adventures in Odyssey fans out there, but I'm a stan of Mr. Whitaker. Anyways, so I actually bought this book because a Christian YouTuber that I really like recommended it in one of her videos. Her name is Kyra Stewart Edwards. I don't know if you guys have watched her videos, but I really like her. And you know, just as women, we can kind of let our emotions and our feelings get the best of us. So this book kind of deals with that. The back says, what am I feeling? Emotions can be confusing. One moment we're happy, content, and hopeful, and the next we're anxious, hurt, and overwhelmed. But we don't have to live at the mercy of our emotions. In True Feelings, a mother-daughter team clears away common misconceptions and missed messages about our feelings to offer us a biblical perspective on emotions, helping us understand how they work, why we feel what we feel, and how to develop good emotional habits. So sounds like a good read. I know that recently I kind of went from being like not super emotional and being just like very unbothered and not caring to being like extremely emotional for no reason. I don't really know if that came with like hurts or maybe just getting older and being more mature and realizing that like it's okay to care about things, but ooh-cha, I know that book's gonna help me, so. Okay, so the next few books are not relationship books. I'm just going to get through them This one is Gods at War by Kyle Idleman, and I know that my mom, my sister, my dad have all read this and they all really enjoy it. The subtitle is Defeating the Idols That Battle for Your Heart. And then the back says, Your heart is a battlefield. In Gods at War, Kyle Idleman, best-selling author of Not a Fan, helps every believer recognize that there are false gods at war within each of us, and they battle for the place of glory and control in our lives. What keeps us from truly following Jesus is that our hearts are pursuing something or someone else. Behind the sin you're struggling with, the discouragement you're dealing with, the lack of purpose you're living with is a false god that is winning the war for your heart. So this looks like a very good read. And yeah, I'm definitely excited to dig into this one. The next one is Uninvited by Lisa Turkhurst. And I feel like I've seen every girl post about this before and I'm just late to the party, but I'm excited because I know that this is a really good book because literally everyone talks about it. So this subtitle is Living Loved When You Feel Less Than, Left Out, and Lonely. And as you guys know, I definitely did go through a season of loneliness last year, so this definitely would have helped me at that time, but I'm still excited to read it. In Uninvited, Lisa shares her own deeply personal experiences of rejection, from the perceived judgment of the perfectly toned woman, one elliptical over, to the incredibly painful childhood abandonment by her father. She leans in to honestly examine the roots of rejection, as well as the rejection's ability to poison relationships from the inside out, including our relationship with God. I'm excited to read this. Another book that my whole family has read that I'm also going to be reading is Ordering Your Private World by Gordon MacDonald. This one says, we have schedule planners, computerized calendars, and self-stick notes to help us organize our business and social lives every day. But what about organizing the other side of our lives, the spiritual side? One of the greatest battlegrounds of the new century is within the private world of an individual. The values of our Western culture incline us to believe that the busy, publicly active person in ministry is also the most spiritual. Oof. And there's a lot more, but basically this book is just about kind of getting things together in your own private life and just kind of helping you to get closer to God through kind of what you allow into your life. Next book is Everybody Always by Bob Goff. This was another book that was recommended to me through my Instagram post. And this subtitle is Becoming Love in a World Full of Setbacks and Difficult People, which we all need to do that. Back just says what happens when we give away love like we're made of it. And then there's a long description, which I will not read. But basically this book is just learning to love everybody always. Pretty self-explanatory. Definitely think we could all use a little more love in our lives, in the way we speak to people, in the way we act. In general, definitely just need more love. So yeah, whenever I finish these, obviously I will give you guys my thoughts about them, but I'm super excited to read these. The next book that I actually am currently reading is The Book on Prayer by Ken Gurley. This is an apostolic author, so I'm super excited. He is a great writer and storyteller. He's also a great preacher. I have heard him a few times when I went to Motion Conference in 2018, so that was really cool. This book doesn't really have like a description of the book on the back, but the subtitle is An Invitation to an Awakening. And from what I've read so far, it's basically just a book that teaches you how to be more intentional in your prayer and how to have like a for real prayer life. It also goes through weeks and days, kind of serving as like a devotional, just teaching you how to really pray, and in doing so, strengthen your relationship with God, which I feel like we all could use a little more of. And so far, it is a very good read. The next book that I picked up is Forgiving What You Can't Forget by Lisa Turkhurst, same author as Uninvited. I have also started reading this, and I've got to say, Lisa, you've gone through a lot, girl, and I respect you so much for actually writing it and actually talking about it, because I feel like a lot of people go through hurts and they stay very silent about it. So this book is just kind of how to stop suffering because of what other people have done to you, and getting out of that cycle of unresolved pain, and just learning to actually forgive rather than just being like, I'm over it, because I feel like a lot of us do that. This is really good so far, but I am excited to continue reading it. I also picked up the journal that goes along with it because, as I said earlier, I do enjoy a good journal. And I also just feel like this is so aesthetic and so cute. And I know that that's not a good reason to pick up a book, but I feel like we all have unresolved hurts or just things that have happened to us that we could definitely use some help like truly getting over. So I'm definitely excited to start using the journal and to finish the book. And as I said before, I will definitely give you guys an update on how I feel about all these books and just my opinions. So that is it for the books that I picked up so far for my 2021 reading. And I'm super excited to read these, super excited to let you guys know my thoughts about them. And I hope that you guys got some suggestions or some ideas for new books to read. If you have any more suggestions, then please be sure to leave those down below. They don't have to be church books or self-help books. They can be fiction, whatever. I just want to read more and kind of expand my knowledge, so I'm super excited to do so. And if you've read any of these books, I would love to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and leave a comment down below, and we can just talk about what we think about these books and anything like that. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you guys have a great day. See you guys soon. Bye.